Welcome back to the 2021 inaugural show of the Rejected Stone podcast, brought to you by Rejected Stone Productions. I am your co-host, Dr. Jarvis Watson, and I am flanked and supported and truly blessed to be next to my brother virtually, Dr. Zebulon Miletsky. Say hello.
Yes, good to be back again.
Yeah.
2021,
new beginnings, new opportunities. Really looking forward to having a really great conversation today with you, brother, about some things that have been going on. And to our listeners and to our supporters, thank you all for watching. And I just want to quote Rakim, it's been a long time. We should have left you, but we are here, and we are glad to be in the house. You know, what other way can you start off 2020, a new year without having hip hop at the forefront, And we just want to kind of talk about some things that have been happening in the nation as recently as January 6th. So this is being recorded on the following day. And we really want to kind of go into some things, but we want to also about what happened at the Washington Capitol, our capital, with the rioters. And who were incited by our leader, our nation's leader, to pretty much storm the Capitol. Something that has been seen since 1812 or 18. Yeah. So not that we wanted to see something happen on a recurrent basis, but we're in some interesting times right now. So I think it's important that we sit down and discuss where we are and chronicle some of these things. So. I don't know if you want to jump in before we.
Yeah, man. No. Thank you. You're absolutely right. I think, and I'm glad that to have again. Also glad to have this opportunity to reconnect. Just to be here in 2021, see 2021.
Right.
And it hasn't taken us very long into 2021 to see some very strange things indeed. It seems like almost every day. And this is one of the reasons why we launched this podcast, so we can, because it just seems like every day, every week, every month, we're hearing the word unprecedented. We're seeing some new thing that has never happened, or claims to, or has at least not have happened in a long time. And so, how do you make sense of it? How do you survive in it? How do we keep our minds, spirits, bodies intact? Even have a chance to think about New Year's resolutions. Before whole country coming apart.
Oh wow! Think about that, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, for those of us who are just trying to get through these days and be of service, be relevant, and be helpful. Find ourselves also questioning what is going on in America right now.
What is going on? Was that a Marvin Gaye?
It is.
Man, Lord, see
what's going on?
Let's switch from hip hop to R&B, because it is definitely something going on.
Yeah. What's going on? Because, I found it really interesting. Yesterday, noticing a lot of authoritative Black voices, especially saying, "Black folks, stay out of this. Stay home. Don't go out. Don't go near the Capitol." And yet at the same, which is wisdom right there.
Yes.
But at the same time, can't help but realize that somehow at the base of this so-called insurrection is the racism, is the white supremacist, ideologies. And of course we saw a noose. It's like we have to talk about this as a community. What we're confronting.
You know what? Sometimes I'm thinking, like, from a psychological perspective, I think I repressed that vision, that image. That's right. Thank you for bringing that back up, man. I remember seeing that noose, and it was actually in a significant location. I think it was. I don't know. Did they bring the whole structure, or was it?
I saw, and I'm sorry to have to, I'm sorry to have to bring it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I the picture I saw of it, sort of hard to see exactly what we were looking at.
Yeah, we could
because
add
it was
that in.
From a perspective, I couldn't get a sense of the scale exactly and size of it. But certainly was on display, and among a lot of other things that were also on display. The other thing that I saw a lot of people saying is, we have America. We've been trying to tell you all this time, what this person and what this administration was about.
Yeah.
Why it's so dangerous to sort of play with this thing called white supremacy. And now more people are realizing, wow, this has really become beyond.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I'm just thinking about something I saw jumping on Black Twitter, looking at Jamil Hill. She made a statement saying that this is all theater. This was a theater for the last 4 years. I'm paraphrasing some of the things we talked about, but I mean, talk about keeping it 100, keeping it a buck. She really kind of put it out there like this has been some type of game for a long time. But now that we realize that when people start dying and you see these images of our democracy pretty much being compromised in so many different ways, it's the show's over, so to speak.
Yeah.
Show's over. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just reaffirms what so many people have been saying. People like Ibram Kendi and all these folks.
Yeah.
Talk about anti-racism. That it's not enough. It's not just enough to feel bad about what things we saw this summer, things we saw in spring. It's not enough to just write a check for Black Lives Matter. One must, I think people waking up today, seeing what happened yesterday, realize they have to have a searching of their souls, their hearts, and to scour their internal souls of any racism, any prejudice, any of these kinds of things, because without really interrogating with that, it leads to some of the stuff, in my opinion, of what we saw happening yesterday.
Yeah, the introspection period hopefully goes beyond this week. I think it's really to go back a few years. And somebody made a statement. One of my colleagues was sharing, like, I think this goes beyond diversity, equity, and inclusion training. I said, yeah, it does. And it's the system truly at work. That needs some work, that needs some restructuring, that needs some revisiting, and to kind of be able to have the introspection. If you've been the person that has been perpetuating all the benefits that you have been receiving from this system, but also not even addressing the oppression that you have been placing upon individuals, this is that time to really kind of recheck and see, like, we need to really do some stuff, because you know what? And to quote another brother, man, it got the whole world watching. What was it, Mos Def? Mm-hmm. Got the whole world watching right now, and you can't continue to invest in false narratives and weak, and I think the word that came up today was fragile policies. So it's time. It's time for a change, for real. It's been time for a change.
No. Speaking of which, we're talking about 2020. We just ended the year 2020, and when you say it's been time for a change, I think a lot about last year.
Yeah.
But what to you were what are some of the things that happened in 2020 that kind of like should have been maybe like red flags or were highlights that let us know if we were listening to the right people, if we're tuning in, then some people were not as shocked. I think we're all shocked, but not as shocked, because some people said, we told you this was going to happen.
Yeah, I think even close to the beginning of a few months after the year started in 2020, we had COVID-19. I think it started around like in February, March, something like that. And looking at all the health disparities that came along with that. And if you look at some of our Rejected Stone discussions, that was in length about what was happening, and it really kind of opened up the door about who was receiving care and who still has not been receiving care. So that was a opening, and to talk about the amount of conversations and I would say podcasts and discussions that were going on, even from the highest office, whether it be in New York or some other places, about the historical, I would say, medical apartheid kind of practices that have been in place, and how they kind of once again showing up in how people are receiving care, information. My wife was one of the people out there making sure people were knowing what was going on and setting up spaces in these neighborhoods like Amityville and Wyandanch and Brentwood to make sure that our people lived, our people survived, and to have that juxtaposed with the Black Lives Matter cases that came on, and to see Black Lives Matter to, I guess, be recharged and revisited in not a local situation, but a global aspect, which was like, wow, man. I think you even made a number of comments of where you see Black Lives Matter, not just here, but in Germany, in a number of countries in Africa, I'm like some other European places. I'm just like, wow, because that was a rally cry for other people. Like, you know what, me too. I'm out here feeling the burn, and it's really interesting. And just to kind of name off a few, and it's sad that we got to keep remembering all these names, but I'm just going to run off like people like Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, when the big, I think, really set it off, his sacrifice, unbeknownst to him, and unsolicited sacrifice, that was an unfortunate sacrifice that came at the behest of someone's knee, the pressure on all the body weight on somebody's knee. It was almost like the pressure of oppression in a weird way, and the system that's working upon us. Breonna Taylor, and now I just found out more about Justin Blake recently. About even though that was 2020, we just found out 2021 that they're not going to prosecute these individuals, and many others that have been part of police violence. There was an attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Training. You couldn't use words like white supremacy and anti-racist approaches. I don't think that is going to be happening moving forward, because it's definitely manifested in what we're going to talk about in a few seconds.
Yeah. No, I think, and I know I think for a lot of people, who are not out in the streets, maybe not protesting, but in their workplace, in their companies, in their jobs, this diversity, equity, and inclusion is something we continue to hear more and more about.
Yeah. And shout out to those who, I've been a number of podcasts and webinars, but shout out to those leaders who took the initiative to be like, not us. You can put this edict out. You can put this executive order out, but you're gonna have to come and tell me that I'm not doing it, and still we're gonna fight you. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Not a lot. Last year forced a lot of people to have to take personal stands like that. Yeah. And isn't that so much about what our time is about?
Yeah.
Some of these Republicans had looked more deeply in the mirror and who they were, what they're doing.
Yeah.
It character happens when no one's watching, right? What you do when nobody's looking. So a lot of people did have to take stands on these things. Individual spaces.
And I think, I know we're definitely going to revisit that conversation a little bit later in the show. But why would you wait until this stuff happened? And almost in the same way that we had to say Black Lives Matter, your policy and your silence was complicit in these things happening, knowing that this stuff was wrong. But I'll push toward the more positive thing, where the voter registration experience movement. Shout out to all those individuals who were out there talking about hit the polls and bringing. I want to shout out minority millennials again, who's out there making sure people knew, like, you need to go vote, and bringing the politicians.
They do great work.
Bringing the politicians to the table, the virtual table, so to speak.
Yeah.
Amazing work that they've done, and I'm probably missing some other people who are doing the same thing. But knowing that there's this this generation that's coming up, and who's here, who's really like kicking butt in regards to making sure people know how to utilize their voice and their rights. So you saw people come out into the polls in droves and in great numbers during COVID. You know,
another record, unprecedented. Everything that happens is like
And then what was going to be something that might have been bad during this time of a pandemic turned out to be one of the most positive things that came out of 2020. And I think that's the good part. You know, starts off kind of gloomy, but the sun, you know, it said the sun, you know, trouble may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. And I think that morning came when we saw Joe Biden up there with Kamala Harris, and I mean, wiped the electoral college vote out, knocked it out the box. I mean, and to know that I can look up and see a black woman and an Indian woman and an Indian American woman representing one of the most highest spots or leadership positions in our country. I mean, and I must make sure, even though I didn't go to one, shout out to HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities that produce a number of folk who are actually moving into some high positions now. So all those things they talked about, well, if you go to HBCU, for those who have been saying those things, I ain't going to finish the sentence because I don't think you even need to have space on that. But look at what God does, you know, in that aspect. Look at what the HBCUs have produced, and you know, as well as being a part of a historical sorority, historically black sorority. So, man, 2020 was crazy. And also respect to Stacey Abrams, who once again, black women being at the forefront, historically black college university. Not sure if she's in a sorority or not, but man, she changed the scale and scope of this country. And you have to get that shout out and make sure we put this on video to make sure this is recorded. So
yeah. No, that's right. That's absolutely right. You know, her plan, her organizing genius, and even just ability to not give up. You know, because after losing, you know, after really having the governorship stolen from her, you know, a lot of other people would have given up, and so this is like this, you know, a long tradition. I think, you know, think of Fannie Lou Hamer, think of Barbara Jordan, another time, you know, black women continuously saving this country from itself, you know, put it together, and doing things that statistically, according to outcomes, according to expectations, they're not supposed to be able to be doing.
Right.
And you know, I think it's you know, there's a lot of voices out there in America. You know, a lot of people speaking authoritatively about this or that. And it really kind of comes down to who you are listening to. Who do you see as a leader? You know, these people who stormed the Capitol yesterday, you know, they're listening to the wrong people, right? And they really, you know, believing what they're hearing. It's just wild, you know. You know, if left to their own devices, people are going to just kind of like unfortunately do whatever, you know, what they want to do.
And I don't know if we're going to talk about it later, but just to ask the question to you, pose a question to you, like what does that psychology come from, where you just take what people give you, you know, on that scale, and just you're entirely reckless with your actions and your motives and stuff. You know?
Yeah. I think, you know, I think in 2020 we saw that a lot. You know, who you're listening to, who you're reading, who you're getting your information from. Mm-hmm. The whole question of truth itself, right, has been challenged. You know, and the more I look around and see these things happening, you know. I mean, a lot of these things are things that some of the first things you learn as a child. Don't lie, right? It's like, that's like the first one, right? You know, and yet we're seeing, you know, massive deceptions happening from the very top to the bottom.
Right.
You know, and so I think in times like this, you know, where one is drawing their inspiration from, looking toward or to for wisdom and understanding. I'll just say I think it shows a great deal in terms of, you know, some of the people out here in their actions. You know,
Yeah.
And I don't know where they're getting these ideas from, but you know, I think that there's a lot of warnings. There have been a lot of warning signs. I'll put it that way. Over the years, cautionary warning signs to say, you know, there could be, you know, something different coming down the pike, and so we've been tested as a country, right? We've been tested as a nation. I think the key thing is to remember we don't forget the people who really betrayed the country, right? These last 4 years had no backbone whatsoever, could not stand up for anyone else, watched as, you know, thousands and thousands of people have died, you know, just couldn't, the callousness and the carelessness and the, you know, that's okay. That's one ideology. That's one point of view, but just know there's a lot of other people out there who are bringing a perspective that is, you know, that is challenging that.
Yeah.
Right. And that is trying to, you know, because one of the things that has gotten neglected in all this is the healing process from 2020. Yeah. Right. So, you know, we didn't even get a chance. You never get a chance. You know, people were celebrating out in the streets the day that it was announced that Biden, you know, had won the presidency. People were literally dancing in at least in New York.
Yeah.
And then before you can even think about that, now we're at the place we are now. So it can be very psychologically, you know, kind of like confusing.
Yeah.
To say the least. But I think that and that's one of the reasons that we want to keep this going, because we feel that to not say anything, to not speak out on some of these things, and to offer at least an alternative perspective. Yeah. You know, I think everyone feels they want to do their little bit right now, and this is one way that we could try to do that.
Yeah, man. When everything, thank you for that. I think that was a great breakdown of like the psychological aspect of what's really been going on, and just to let you all know, like when some stuff happens, there's certain people I call on that short list, and Zeb was definitely at the top. Like, what we going to do? And then it was almost like a no look pass. It was like, we going to do this tomorrow,
right? Yeah,
so I was
right.
like, man. You were,
and I was like, definitely.
We talking about this tomorrow, right? I was like, yeah, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, you know, because I think it's critical. I think it's really critical. You know, for example, like yesterday, so many things happened. I heard very few people drawing the connection between the news of the morning that Raphael Warnock. Shout out to Reverend Warnock.
Man.
And also who won his race.
Yeah.
But another HBCU grad, you know, see.
Come on.
You're right. You know, something is speaking. The universe is speaking. And we'd be naive to think there was no connection between the realization, A, that pro-Trump people realized they've lost the Senate to a black man, elected first black senator from the state of Georgia. You know, when you're up against these kinds of, you're talking about historically epic kind of like odds here. So good and right is on the side of the just, and right. and these other people, I think, show themselves. We're hesitant to label or identify it as, you know, as sort of all like, well, this for on the First Amendment, and you see the confusion yesterday. People are like, well, we didn't want to interrupt people's First Amendment rights.
See, people don't go further and talk about the harm. If your First Amendment rights are causing harm, then there's a controversy, and I don't think people read past the third line. Almost like when people read text, they only go through 2 swipes, and there's
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, even calling them protesters, the protesters, as you know, we're back to that, and we know what's behind that. We all know what's behind that, right? Race is behind all of this, of course.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate the people keep making the point where they say, well, if this had been Black Lives Matter trying to raid the Capitol, it would have been a much different response. Black Lives Matter never tried to raid the Capitol before.
Man, say that again.
You know what I mean? Like they never tried to do that. Now you might have had there was a peaceful protest demonstration, and then we do see the difference,
right?
That point needs to be made that even in a peaceful demonstration, the kind that Black Lives Matter leads, unlike what happened yesterday, right? These two, to compare that to Black Lives Matter is an insult to Black Lives Matter, because they've never tried to do anything.
And that. They did the same thing with, I know you know this, but the same way how they kind of demonized Black Panthers.
Yeah. Okay. Of course.
Yeah.
Same thing. And I think we get it. We get the point. The fear of Black people that is inherent in so many white Americans would have caused them to probably hold the line a little differently yesterday. But that doesn't have anything to do with Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
I think it just shows in so many people's minds that Black person means Black Lives Matter, and that right there is somewhat racist, because that's not what it is.
Yeah, man. So I think that's a nice segue into talking about. Unless you had some other caveats from 2020.
No, let's move on. We need a segue. Like, I'm getting a little like, yeah.
Because before we start, I was like, let me get some like captions of some things that we want to talk about. But I think the Associated Press on January 6th kind of talked, as a nice segue, kind of broke down, if I could read a little snippet from there, saying Black Lives Matter protests 2020, overwhelming force from law enforcement in dozens of cities, chemical dispersants, rubber bullets, and hand-to-hand combat with largely peaceful crowds and some unruly vandals and looters, more than 14,000 arrests. Go to January 6, 2021 at the U.S. Capitol. Barely more than a few dozen arrests, several weapons seized, and improvised explosive devices found. They found 2 pipe bombs, kind of what they're talking about. Members of a wilding mob escorted from the premises, some not even in handcuffs. The key differences, they said the set of protesters were overwhelmingly Black Americans and their allies. The second group was overwhelmingly white Americans who support outgoing President Donald Trump's baseless claims of election fraud. So, right there to your point. Nowhere. Let's if you went through any news or any reporting of what went down with Black Lives Matter, they never tried to get inside the Capitol.
Yeah. Right. Nothing like that.
And it talking about 14,000 arrests.
No. Today is a little bit better. They're using the word terrorist to describe, what happened now, and of course, Trump people and them tried to use that same description for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Right. To political purposes. But here is an actual textbook definition of terrorism. What we saw yesterday, they went in, and some of these offices looked like they were robbed. Right.
Man.
everything thrown on, desecrated. I mean, me personally, if you listen to what Trump has said, what he has done, I personally, maybe because I'm as a historian, but I expected, I've been. You can ask my wife. She's that's my
put that on. Yeah.
Okay. So, maybe, but I've been saying this for a very long time, and I'm like, I think that, I call it, dictator light. You know what I mean? It's like autocratic. It's like he gives you a flavor of what it would be like to live under an autocratic kind of empire for a little while. And then it's like, okay, go on home. We love you. And so you get like this, it's almost like Trump's continuously flirting with how far can I push America towards this despotic kind of fascist, sort of existence and get away with it.
Yeah.
Right. And he keeps pushing and prodding a little more each time, and yesterday appears to have been the over the edge. But then again, we've had a few moments where people said this was over the edge, conspiring with Russia was supposed to be over the edge, and making the phone call to the president of to investigate whatever that country was, try to investigate Biden's son, all those things.
Yeah.
Was all over the line, and then here we are again.
Yeah, I think I was talking to somebody recently and saying how yesterday the massaging of this type of behavior, or the investment in this behavior, the practice has been going on in a few states. One that comes to mind is Michigan. Thinking about how when they were marching to their well, let's talk about the attempted kidnapping of the
There's so many things.
Yeah, and then nothing even comes from that office like, well, that's a bad thing, or we shouldn't do that. We should find these individuals and kind of down. But to walk to their government buildings with assault rifles, which I'm pretty sure were loaded, with no one touching them. And then once again, we go to this juxtaposition with Black Lives Matter, where these people out there in the streets are getting like pummeled, tear gas, whatever other vehicles out there is, spraying water on them and things like that,
Right.
But there's this complicitness from a lot of different people, not just the president, but a lot of different lawmakers are saying this is okay. This is all right.
Yeah, no. Yeah. You hit it right on the head.
Yeah. So this, like you said, there's no surprise about why they were able to believe, going back to that psychology, this is going to be okay. I can just walk up and let's think about the images that were placed outside of the videos, taking selfies with the police.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yes.
Scaling the walls, climbing up the Capitol walls, almost like you're Inhuman, like you're Spider-Man or something. You got this busting through the windows to go through the window to get into the Capitol. Barricading.
Who asked you to break a window? Who said you could do that?
And it's like, when you get inside, what are you going to do? I'm walking down the hallway. He's talking about, hey, where you at? Where's so-and-so? Knocking on doors. They see the images of the Secret Service barricading the members of the Congress on the Senate floor. But another thing that might have been disturbing also was there's this one scene where there's like 4 Secret Service individuals with their guns aimed at the door in case somebody comes through.
Yes.
And there was one person looking through the window like, hey, what's going on in there? It's like there's 4 people with guns drawn on you, but you're not even fearing that there's a bullet that might come the other way. And it's like, wow, the beyond the psychology, the naive courage, is that a word is that a term we can use?
Yeah, it should be. It should be. It's trending as we speak.
The boldness of like, hey, I know I'm in the top federal building and I'm acting as if nothing's going to happen. But the propelling down the wall into the Senate, sitting where Nancy Pelosi sits, whose office was the guy putting his feet up on? Was that?
That was right. It was Nancy Pelosi's office. Yeah. Stole an envelope and left a quarter on it. I mean, this is. I'm so glad you're saying this. I'm so glad because, and this is what I appreciate so much about our chances to dialogue like this, because what you're really getting at is what I think America needs to see, which is that white supremacy and whiteness as a whole, as a concept, is killing you. Right? This is the biggest threat to America right now.
Right.
When even for that, I'm talking about white people now, right? That the permissiveness, the double standards, right? This is why people like Sean King and others and who show these videos where you got a white guy, basically telling off the police, telling them what they're going to do. I don't know if you saw this video over the break. It was over the Christmas. It was like this guy in a red truck, and he tells them, I'm going to leave now. I'm going to drive away now. And they're like, don't you do it. They got the guns pointed. Don't do it. Don't do it. He's like, turns the car on, puts the hands on the wheel, and then dude just drives away, and it's like after but that is so exactly what it means to be white in America, right? That's what's been hard to explore, beyond the racism, the laws, the Jim Crow, all that stuff. But then just the knowledge and the freedom of what it means to be white, that at a drop of a hat, your yay or nay could mean a black life, like overnight, right? Or the white woman can say, "Oh, I was attacked by a black man," and we all know. So those dynamics get unleashed. Now, this is why it's dangerous. This is why you shouldn't. You've got to apply the law evenly and so forth, because now you got moments like that where the cops like, yeah, we're gonna take a selfie together. It's that frat boy kind of mentality here. It's like, well, but that's America's not going to make it in the 21st century with this mentality.
It's almost like we've been trying to tell you, I told you so, and now what has been invested, indoctrinated, has come back to this particular point that we're in right now. People to be like, yeah, this is kind of bad. This took a turn in the ways that, I'm talking to people like, I didn't realize it was going to happen. It's like, you knew it was something was going to go down, but at this scale, I don't think, but at the same time, it's like, I can see why we can kind of point to several different systemic factors that provided the space and opportunity for them to do what they did without any type of, I would say immediate, because I'm not sure what they're doing now, but any type of immediate response or reaction from law enforcement. Yeah. And what I'm hearing now is a number of people are resigning or they're asking for their resignations. And it's like, why are you asking for something like that when you know that your life was in harm? Like, why in harm's way? Why are you making a statement? Just handle your business, because you know what? Their job was to protect not just you, but also our democracy. And you're giving, once again, an opportunity to walk out with their head held high. You should be let go.
It looked like people were on a tour.
Yeah.
It looked like they coming out of there like they had just gone through a tour of the Capitol building. Like guys holding the door open, woo,
when they walked the lady down the stairs.
Well, it was so many things going on. I noticed a lot of things when they first come into the rotunda thing. Some people were taking pictures, like they were on a tour. Never been there, maybe. And so I don't. It's that just says it was it's like you said. It was like a perfect storm of all the permissiveness, all of the not wanting to deal with white supremacy, not wanting to deal with the the danger that's posed by Trump and these people. No, there is a certain karmic value to the whole thing that took place. Yes, and we saw.
Yeah, but I think it's just what you profess, what you instill, what you serve as your gospel. If this is, you can't give love from hate. You can't get good things from hate. If this is what you are really professing, that this is how things should be, I think we're at a place right now in America, I think in the world, where it's like enough is enough.
Yeah,
we got a thing in counseling psychology called incongruence. You're saying one thing but doing something else. James Baldwin talks about that a lot. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. And until there's some other things that we can see that counteracts what you've been talking about, what's been happening, your actions have to really be incongruous with your words and things that we value in this country, like liberty, pursuit of happiness, justice, fairness, equity, equality, things that everybody's been trying to define and pretty much bleed and die for. To take a second to think and exhale about it, it really left a numbness in me last night in a way that I can't explain. It was, my brain really couldn't compute, but it was really hard to articulate my feelings and emotions because of just what I saw. But there was this other part of me, like I think what we're talking about, was like, I know I was not crazy. I know I was not losing my mind. I know what the things I've been seeing, experiencing for the 44 years I've been on this earth. This is it. I'm like, there was another part of me that was like, thank you for showing your behind yesterday, because we've been trying to tell everybody that, and we've been from the rooftops, from I don't know how many different webinars we've been on, and talks and unity forums we've been putting together, and Black History Month programs we created to kind of help people understand, like, our conditions in this country are horrendous, and you can't sweep this kind of stuff under the rug anymore. It's really I was having this like this moment where I just couldn't speak, or even sit still, just, man. So hopefully the next couple of days, I'm able to articulate myself in a more coherent way. But this is
it's completely understandable, though. It's I think that's what it comes down to. For those who do love this, I love how that term incongruence, and I wonder, I know there's probably another term for psychologically to explain that whole thing where the thing that you're accusing someone else of doing is the very thing that you're doing, right? So when you say, like, oh, these people are terrorists, you're the terrorist, and you say, although these people are the ones who are trying, this QAnon stuff, it's like all the things that they're professing that the Democrats are supposed to be about, I feel like, is the stuff that they're about.
Yeah.
Right. And so projecting, maybe, I guess, is what that is. And so that we've had some massive kind of like moments like that of projecting, and so that's one way, I think, to interpret our present time. Somebody claims or professes too much to be one thing. That's probably, oh no, we're the innocent ones, and they're it really is them who's the thing. And so yeah, the truth always ends up coming out. And unfortunately, that has always been the thing that ends up, really being the engine of change, is when, white Americans start to get a feel for what Black folks been go through all the time, right? They, and it shows you the bubbles that we all live in. People don't know. They don't know. And then when they start to feel that, like, whoa, you know, they get a taste of, well, that tends to be the thing that changes society. You know, when middle America starts to feel or see. Unfortunately, middle America's the people driving some of these retaliate. You know, not everybody, but you know, like you were saying, reading today that not only the capital, but this happened in a lot of state capitals. A lot of state capitals got locked down yesterday as well. I read
Really?
Texas. What was that? I believe Michigan also was again a flashpoint. No surprise there, and then other places as well. It was in the New York Times today.
Yeah, it's like, is there like this secret mobilization of people having these discussions in the same way? You know, we kind of like reflected on on yesterday's transgressions. Is there this like concentrated or concerted set of meetings or people coming together saying, all right, our cause is this, and the way we fulfill this cause is by doing these particular acts. And if you do get arrested, you know, we got you, and you know, and blah 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 blah. Where
I think it's called the Proud Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the alley oop, y'all, and he dunked it.
They've been planning this bad boy.
But
yeah, I mean, no, I saw a picture of somebody. I saw a picture yesterday. You know, some things can be, changed on online and stuff. But look, this guy had a shirt on that says Civil War February 6th. I mean, it's January 6th. And so, you know, that obviously had to be made up before. He was wearing it at the thing yesterday. Like, so all the reports are saying that this has been being played, which makes total sense to me. Yeah. Total sense. I was reading a lot about these groups, of Proud Boys being one of them, and some other groups with names I can't remember right now, and all these different groups that have been pledging, that have been saying, we're going to bring a Civil War-like approach, a secessionist kind of mentality that, you know, that we have to save, you know, and you saw this ragtag group that, you know, I mean, we had echoes of what we saw during Civil War and Reconstruction.
Yeah, except for we even had somebody from the Norse mythology coming there with looking like. I was like, well, they got everybody. They said, look, we're gonna go.
Well, see, yeah, they're right. That's the autocratic. That's the light part. With the hat, with the horns. It's supposed to, you're like, is this a frat party, or is this, you know, all these people going back to the Holiday Inn after this, the Olive Garden, and just hang out, or like, what kind of group is this?
I want to see that debrief. Like, yeah. So, what do you think about today's situation? Oh yeah, you know, past, you know. Could you please pour some more beer in my helmet? You know, as we discuss these things. But think about that. We have a leader. And I'm thinking about some of these images from the 50s and the 60s about like the Bull Connors and things like that. Some of those George Wallace's that are like inciting being separate and being segregationist. And even though he didn't say it, the fact that he had the rally. I'm looking at this as well. This was coming from Washington Post, but you set up a time and energy and resources to set up a rally, send these individuals off, charged up, and saying you gotta be strong about this. Go to the Capitol and do you in the most patriotic, strong. Way that people will know that you were there today. And my thing is, don't you see how your president is setting you up for failure? Don't you see how this leader is setting you up? And pretty much there's someone who lost their life. And 3 other individuals lost their life. 4 people lost their lives because of the fact that there was this, you know, this run rampant, and there's no culpability on his side. Like that's not leadership. That's something that people have to realize. Like this is madness.
Yep.
That you would send these people to break down the very thing that got you in office, that got other people in office, that was supposedly makes this country great. That democracy makes it great, but you're tearing it down by sacrificing your own supporters, the people that pretty much probably took time off from work, took time away from their family, and I'm really talking about the fact that what they're sacrificing to bring back what America looks like in their eyes, and then you send them to a potential ultimate death, So it's or to be hurt or maimed, and it's really I'm hoping that these individuals take a second to be like, is this what it's all about? Is this something that I can invest time in? Is this something I can pass down to my kids? Is this something I can be proud about? As I start to talk about my history, we sit down by the campfire, or sit outside, or around the Thanksgiving table, and we talk about times past. Dad, Granddaddy, can you tell me the time that you stormed the Capitol? That's your narrative,
right? Yeah. No, I think it's important to call out these things for what they are. We're so tolerant of just all kinds of approaches, even ones that are patently dishonest.
Yeah.
And I think there has to be some kind of like filter, like, again, if we don't have any kind of moral compass whatsoever, right? Lying's okay. Right. Sending a bunch of people into the Capitol with, lying to them, but, causing violence, causing a death, okay, is okay. Then, we have to really rethink kind of like what our society is even about. I mean, but beyond that, I'm glad you mentioned the Bull Connors of the civil rights period, the George Wallaces, because that's really what Trump is. He's a national Bull Connor, right? On a national level, and he's what George Wallace wanted to be, president, coming from a segregationist, coming from a white supremacist viewpoint, and just. It's often acknowledged, that in the movement and the Southern civil rights movement, and in the North too, those kinds of figures, the villains, if you will, or the ones who are willing to, to be, to be cruel, to be unhuman like that, unfeeling, unflinching, and so forth, are necessary in a sense to bring about some kind of change. And this is, it's been disastrous for the country and for the government and for so many things. And meanwhile, COVID deaths are still raging, high record numbers every day now.
Yeah. Think about what's going to transpire after, when they go back to their respective homes. You think COVID hasn't spread, in a rampant
none of those
pace?
people had masks. Yeah. No, it's we're dealing with it's a dirty business, this whole thing. And there's just, I think we just have to be honest about the fact that we're talking, that this whole thing with Trump started with a lot of people who are angry for various reasons. We never got at the root of the anger. We never dealt with it, never helped. Right. And these people still find themselves leaderless and, following a path that leads nowhere.
Which could be a dangerous thing in regards to now that, we don't have our person in the House, because even the Republicans was like, I'm gonna turn my back on all these shenanigans and all the things that, we tried to be with you to the end, but I think that's verbatim. He was like, I tried to, was it the guy, Graham? Was that not Graham?
He said enough is enough.
I was like, oh man. Well, he had the hand movements and everything. I was like, man, animated like this, like I am disowning you, disassociating, probably disrespecting you at the same time, but I am not going to be sipping this Kool-Aid anymore, and I'm hoping that like once again, that's just not something that is a bunch of words, and I'm hoping that there was some type of enlightenment or some type of light bulb that went off for our lawmakers and said, hey, listen, it's all right. We're going to disagree on certain things. We don't see eye to eye on certain things because of how, we see the country, but it should not have to lead to a point where people are continuing to die, continuing to be harmed, continuing to be historically marginalized. Debate on things that, like, hey, I think we can make someone's life better if we put money here. Well, what if we put money here? Well, what if we share our resources to make this person's life even better? I think that's the switch I'm looking to see with this new leadership that we have, and I'm glad to see, like I said, Warnock and Osa, what's his last name?
Ossoff, yeah,
Ossoff, that are in power right now, which pretty much shifted. Once again, going back to Stacey Abrams, help that thing move to shift in a way that's going to be beneficial. So to our Democrats, we're not letting them off the hook as well. Like, listen, now that you have this opportunity, we as the people have to make sure that our representatives are doing the things that are going to benefit us. They're going to benefit this country, that make sure that whatever wrongs that were there before, we change that and hopefully sustain that. And I think that's going to have to be a collective approach, but it has to come with that impetus and that strength and that catalyst type of approach from the Democrats that are in power right now. And please, and for us, we cannot let up and get complacent and start taking naps, political naps. It's not the time for that. This is the time to mobilize. This is the time to strategize and be more vertically connected, I would say, to the things that are happening in this country. Because as I get older and I start to think about having children, I don't want them to grow up in a place where, stuff like this, that stuff that happened yesterday is going to happen, and they have to worry about walking down the street just to go to get a pack of Skittles and a Snapple, even though my wife does have a lot of snacks in the house, so she, may have to go that far, but like that, you ain't got to look over your shoulder left or right. I think that's what every generation and every decade is trying to aspire to, that there's a sense of belonging, but sense of, I guess, a lack of fear, a sense of confidence that, hey, I belong here just as much as you do. So, yeah.
I'm not going to even add anything to that. You said it. I want to live in America where people got snacks in the house and are ready,
Yeah.
and life can be good again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
That's it. I think people need to hear what all jokes aside, people need to hear what you just said, what a lot of people are saying, what the plight of what that means when you can't do those things,
Yeah.
And if we're going to make, unfortunately, a lot of times things have to get worse before they get better. So I'm hopeful that after yesterday, it's hard, but I still remain hopeful that we're on a path, but not without having these kinds of dialogues and discussions and insights like the one you just made.
Yeah, so we just going to, this is just one discussion, and wherever we are respectively in our professional or personal realms, we're going to have another conversation. Another set of squares are going to be created where we can kind of share these ideas and share our thoughts, and once again show these are our rights. These are our inalienable rights for us to speak truth to power. And
sure.
And we're, like I said, once again, we're in a place where it's even more apparent that our voices need to be shared, heard, and I would say respected, so. And that's all I got to say about that. So.
Yeah.
So, I'm not sure.
Well, I think you said it. We said it all. We said it all for this segment.
Brother, you dropped some gems. I can't wait to kind of look back at what we talked about and take some notes. And yeah, these are the kind of things I definitely want to share with my hopefully future kids and with my family. Say, hey, when it was going down, me and Doc were present, and we make sure we help other people understand that they're not alone in the thoughts that they were sharing. So yeah.
Blessed to that. And so this has been another episode of the Rejected Stone podcast. We're looking forward to our next discussion where we get into some more of that stuff, holding the Democrats accountable in 2021. And what you got there? Oh, okay, the Rejected Stone. All right,
courtesy of wife. We just throwing images out there, but
that's the touchstone.
Yeah, man. So until next time, and hopefully we'll follow up after the election. Pray that all goes well with that election and the transfer of power, which will definitely have some more things to talk about as that transition happens. Hopefully we get to show some footage of what went down, what happened that day. But hopefully we'll have more positive reports from that, and with some optimistic kind of discussions about what we'll see in the future. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah. With that, I will be signing off, and
that's right.
As we always say at the end of every show, Twin Day.
Yeah. Right. We out.
The revolution will not be televised.